Hello, I'm Dr. Bittiker. We're back for another one of our presentations on doing the various pauses that we've been doing all along. Last few times we've covered the cardio pause, the brain pause. A pause is where a particular organ system or a function doesn't work as well as it used to. And we're here to show you how to do some things about it. This time we're going to be talking about osteopause, or a more common term in people as they get older is osteoporosis. There's a lot of other bone conditions, but it's what happens to the bone as you get older. Now, this is a real problem here in America, and I'll give you some statistics here. Let me see. 25 to 30% of the white and oriental women and 20% of the black women develop osteoporosis. Men have 25% the rate of osteoporosis as females. 33% of females and 50% of males experience a hip fracture by the age of 90. And I might add that at that age, that can be a terminal event. It's a serious thing for somebody to have that type of fracture. So basically what we're talking about here is the loss of the strength of bones as we get older, is the particular type of the osteopause I'm going to be talking about. Now there's stages of this. There's osteopenia, which is decreased bone formation, and then there's osteoporosis, which is when it gets beyond a certain point you have the bone loss. Now you have a thing called bone turnover, which is the kind of the contest between the osteoblasts, which build up the bone cells, and the osteoclasts, which is tear them down. You have to have this turnover. It's necessary. The body is always building and then tearing down and then rebuilding itself. It just does it this way. It replaces itself over a period of time. As we get older, this system gets out of balance and we begin to lose more bone mass than we had, and it becomes a real problem. It's particularly a problem for women because they go through various things such as pregnancy, which can leach a lot of calcium out of the body for the baby. They also can be taking some medications. Certain hormones may cause a problem with that, and also going into menstrual cycles. Losing the menstrual cycle causes a hormone change in the body, which decreases the amount of calcium in the bones. So that's one of the things that occurs there. Well, there's some things that we can do to prevent this. Now, I want to point out a couple things to you, is that there are some drugs that are on the market right now for the treatment of osteoporosis, and it's a big, huge market. One of them is Fosamax. If you've ever taken this drug, you know it's got some pretty nasty side effects. We're also finding out that its effect on fractures is not really as good as we thought. In one study that was done in Great Britain, they noticed that the people that took the Fosamax did have increased bone density as shown on densitometry tests. It appeared to work. The catch, though, was the fracture rate was about the same, if not a little bit worse. Well, it turns out that when Fosamax does cause increased calcification in the bones, which appears to be a good thing, it's a different type of calcium. Turns out the bones are not actually rock hard like a rock. They are actually kind of elastic. They bend a little bit. Well, it turns out that the Fosamax drug induced bone development is much more brittle. So they were getting fractures there too. Also, some nasty side effects like rotting jaw disease is a common side effect. We also find out that the incidence of cancer among people that take these drugs is up quite a bit. It causes some real problems with the bowels. Irritable bowel syndrome is a common problem. So there's a lot of downsides to this. There's also some things to do as far as other medications. We know that people that take a lot of the anti-inflammatories, particularly the ones in the cortisone category, that can induce that condition. There's also an association with osteoporosis and the use of the proton pump inhibitors. The reason for that being is that they do work. They do inhibit the secretion of the hydrochloric acid into your stomach. But remember, your hydrochloric acid, that's what ionizes your minerals so that you can digest and utilize your minerals such as calcium, and magnesium actually plays a part in this too, to get to the bloodstream and get to the bones to rebuild your bones. So that's why there's association with osteoporosis and the ingestion of these proton pump inhibitors. A big association. Plus there's also some other problems with increased likelihood of stomach cancer too. So there's a price to be paid for all that. This is one of the reasons why with my patients that have this condition, we sometimes recommend that they take a thing called a digestive enzyme. Anybody over the age of 50 or so probably needs this. We recommend taking one with each meal. It's got the hydrochloric acid, so you can ionize your minerals correctly and get a satisfactory result there. Some other things here on the osteoporosis is that its association with some other conditions here and the way to treat it. One of the things we've found out is that there's a major association with vitamin D deficiency and osteoporosis. On our studies and our patients, and when I first went to school back in the 70s, we were told that there was no such thing. It was very rare to have a vitamin D deficient patient. Rickets was found to be caused by that in children, but we never saw it in adults. So we were told, well, we started doing vitamin D tests on people. We found out, by God, a lot of people do have a deficiency. I would say probably 80% of the people that come into my clinic that we do a vitamin D test on will show that they are deficient in vitamin D, as even shown to laboratory tests. And I think those tests are a little bit, anything under 30 they consider to be a vitamin D deficiency. I actually think that anything under about 50 or 60 is a vitamin D deficiency, but that's just me. If you don't believe me, though, when you think that maybe some of the doses I recommend for vitamin D are too excessive, you might want to go to the Vitamin D Council.org website, World Health Organization related organization. They've done a lot of research there. They'll tell you exactly how important this is. In fact, just to give an example of what vitamin D might do, let me pull this up here, this one study. This is a study just to show you how important and how it relates to it. We know there's a correlation between vitamin D deficiency and osteoporosis. And we also find out that people don't get out in the sun as much as they used to, so therefore they're vitamin D deficient. In fact, one of the treatments that they used to use for rickets in children was to get them out in the sun, because their body would manufacture vitamin D. Also, one of the treatments for depression was getting out in the sun. It's actually been shown in studies to be as effective as any anti-depression drug. And so what does getting out in the sun do? What causes a lot of vitamin D to form in your body? Well, let me give you this one study. Here's a study. This was done on people from rural Nebraska. 1,179 healthy women and men were given calcium. Actually, calcium malate was what they were given. That's what we use in our osteoporosis formula. They were given 1,500 milligrams a day of calcium and also 1,100 international units of vitamin D a day, which I would consider to be a little bit on the low side, but that's what they did. So they give them vitamin D and calcium malate. Okay, the interesting thing, though, is that they found out that over a 4-year period of time, the group receiving the calcium and vitamin D supplements showed a 60% decrease in cancers. This is you can go to the Vitamin D Council.org website and see more research on that about its prevention of cancer. Considering just that the last 3 years of the study reveals an impressive 77% reduction in cancer due to supplementation and also a reduction in depression. So that's why you'll see an association in studies between depression and osteoporosis. They go together. Women who have osteoporosis are 4 or 5 times more likely to have depression than women that don't have it. And people that have vitamin D deficiency are more likely to be depressed. So they go hand in hand. So get your vitamin D test done. We use, made by, who makes this? Protocol. Vitamin D, 5,000 IU per day. This is typically what we put our patients on. That is not an overdose. That's actually a maintenance dose for most patients, okay? But it's very important for your bone health because the vitamin D is actually a hormone. It helps the body to mobilize calcium. It has a lot more things to do with that than you might think. Also, we have a supplement here called Osteobalance made by Pure Caps. You can go to their website and see the research on it. It's got a couple things in it. It's got vitamin D in it, but it's also got a special form of calcium, calcium citrate malate, okay, and magnesium malate. You need the two together. Now, the advantages of these are that they're extremely absorbable, and they're also in the same form that the body uses to mobilize and to plate the calcium, so to speak, onto your bones. So they're very absorbable, and in studies they've been shown to actually reverse osteoporosis. And when you combine that with a few other things that I'm going to recommend, you'll see an effect here. We also see a correlation between another supplement that we use on our patients, and you'll see why, is that the use of arginine or citrulline. Here's some research on it I pulled up here on my computer, and the oral administration of L-arginine or citrulline. Let me see, is studies that this simple and safe and inexpensive therapy seems to be warranted in the treatment or reversing of bone loss. Okay, and we have a thing called nitric oxide ultra, which does just that, because the signaling molecule, the nitric oxide, signals the bone, increases the circulation of the bone, and that's one of the ways you improve circulation there. Now, what are some other things you can do to improve your bone health? Well, one is exercise, but I'm talking about weight-bearing exercise. Okay, not too much though, but you definitely want to do that. Walking is an excellent form of exercise. There's also another thing you can do, which is a vibration pad. You see some of these at gyms. You can buy one for home. You stand on this pad that vibrates at a certain frequency. I think it's like 50 hertz. And it sends a vibration through your body, vibrates the bones, and it causes a thing to occur on the bones called the piezoelectric effect. That's where the crystals, the hydroxyapatite crystals, that's the actual form of calcium that's in your bone. It's a crystal. And when you hit a crystal, it creates an electrical field which attracts the calcium to it. Okay? So exercise, you're creating an electrical field in your bones that attracts calcium to it. When you do that, it attracts this malate and a citrate type of calcium to it. So that's why exercises are so good. And also the vitamin D helps potentiate this too. So that's why we supplement our patients with this, the Osteobalance. And we've had patients get a reversal of their bone loss and actually begin to put bone back into their systems as shown on densitometry tests. One other thing, now this is a little bit far out of field, but there's research on this. It's pulsed electromagnetic fields. Magnetic fields. There are some companies now who are trying to bring to market literally a pad that you would lie on that puts out a magnetic field, and the magnetic field induces these electrical fields to form in your body, which brings the calcium in there. I've seen some impressive studies done with animals and with humans on this. We're not there yet. The FDA hasn't approved it, but it's just something you might want to keep in mind over the years, is that the use of the pulsed electromagnetic field, not a regular magnet, but a pulsed electromagnetic field, can be quite effective for this sort of thing. Also, we use microcurrent to do the same thing. Some research on that, and even laser, cold lasers has been shown to be effective too. But that's the proof on that's not as good. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, give us a call at 800-326-5838. You can also catch us on our website, naturalhealthandyou.com. And you should tell your friends about what we're doing here, because we're going to have a new pause each day, and we'll be covering a lot more topics. If you have a question or a particular pause or a question you want me to cover, call us, and we'll be happy to cover it on our channel. Thanks for watching.